Welcome into a special Locked On NBA Insider Edition for the NBA Draft Lottery. Jake Madison from Locked On Pelicans is joining us. New Orleans ended up right where they were expected to be. They got the number 8 pick in the draft coming up this year. And of course, Win Cash always gives a good reaction, so that's always nice. Were you surprised by it? And kind of what were your immediate reaction to the pick?
No, I mean, this is where they were supposed to end up. It would have been nice to jump up into the top 4, certainly if you're in New Orleans, but just not losing the pick, even though it was a 0.4% chance that it would go to Memphis from that trade with Jonas Valanciunas, I think is good, right? Like, this is a team that made the playoffs last season. They pushed the Phoenix Suns to 6 games in the first round as a 9th seed. I think they feel pretty good with their roster as is going into next year. And now you can add someone with the 8th overall pick, which should be a quality guy, a guy that'll be able to contribute from the bench, or you can even think longer term with this team. This is a team that probably for the past decade plus has thought, what's next season going to look like under the Dell Demps era, trading away first-round picks after first-round pick to get a win now kind of guy. Well, now they have a decent enough team that's going to be competitive next year, so they're probably looking to go best player available, a guy with the highest upside that they can develop into a starter and a potential all-star 3 years down the line. They don't need someone that can contribute right away next season with the rotation pretty much already set. So it leaves them in a good spot. They could trade this pick, they could keep it, they can kind of go in any direction because, look, you're not really supposed to be a playoff team with a lottery pick, especially when that's 8th overall.
Absolutely. They're in a good place to be, right? Because they so far achieved themselves last season, and they did a lot of that without Zion, right? So, I mean, obviously that's a huge accomplishment. So when you're looking at someone to add at this position, if they keep this pick, what's something that, or, something that they could add, whether it's off the bench or elsewhere, that would be a real big perk that could help them make the jump next year?
Yeah, I think they'll look to go with an offensive player. We saw in the playoffs, and again, as you mentioned, right, that's kind of the elephant in the room here. No Zion on that, and he should be back next season, which is a pretty big thing for this team, just a little bit, right? So if you can add a little bit more instant offense, I think they'd like that with the bench units. You saw them struggle to score at times against the Phoenix Suns. They had moments during the end of the regular season when they went on long runs without scoring some points. So a guy that can shoot, certainly more shooting is needed on this team to space the court for Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram when they're out there on the court with him, or a guy that just can kind of create his own shot and isn't as reliant on others to try and get that kind of kick out, catch and shoot 3. So I look at a guy like Bennedict Mathurin at this 8th spot, a guy that looks like he can be some instant offense off the bench his rookie year. That's the type of guy I think they're really going to look for, who also has a high ceiling that could project, if all things go well, as an all-star in the future. They want some offense. They need a little bit more scoring with those bench units just to kind of stabilize it a little bit more, and more shooting so that guy can play next to Zion Williamson. Only a good thing for the Pelicans.
Is there some availability for this person to come in on this pick and see some playing time, or do you feel like the roster's kind of loaded at this point, so this is really be more of like a bench player or, kind of a role player in that regard?
I think it's more of a bench player and a role player and a guy that might spend some time in the G League too and not see the court as much this season. I think, their top 5 guys, the starters, barring some big shakeup, are set next year. You're certainly going to keep giving minutes to guys like Trey Murphy, one of their rookies off the bench, who was really good in the playoffs. And of course, Jose Alvarado needs to get minutes. So if they get a guard, I don't think that guy's going to play above a guy like that. So certainly they're going to be kind of buried on the depth chart, I think, a little bit. That's why I think they might look to go guy with the highest upside, even if they might not contribute right away their rookie year. Really try and develop that guy further down the line to potentially be a starter in 3 years, because this team's about to get expensive. Zion is due for a big extension. They want to extend CJ McCollum as well, and Larry Nance Jr. This is a team that's going to be pushing the luxury tax. Having starters on a cheap rookie deal is as important as it gets for New Orleans right now. So I think they're going to kind of take the long-term approach with this pick. So whoever they draft, I don't really see it being an immediate starter. I don't see it being an immediate rotation guy, someone that's going to take a couple of years to come along down the line.
Certainly a unique situation in New Orleans. We'll have to keep an eye on things. Jake, thank you for joining us. I'm Kainani Stevens. This has been Locked On NBA.